So a few months ago, I spent a couple days up in Ohio with Wyatt, the owner of Ice Barrel, and I was shocked to find out that obviously Wyatt uses his ice barrels every day, but he doesn't use a chiller. He uses ice. I thought that was kind of interesting to me because, I mean, I use chillers here in Florida all the time. I kind of need to because I want to keep my water ready to go every time I get in it. But he had a different theory. His thought was, well, there's something about preparing your place. There's something about prepping your barrel to get in. It does something to him. So I'm gonna give it a try. And right now, my Ice Barrel 300 is sitting at a static temperature of 78 degrees. I picked up 5 16-pound bags of ice just now, which is already starting to melt. So let's go ahead and throw this in and prep our ice barrel for an ice bath. Oh yeah, and before I put this last bag in there, this video is gonna be exploring the key differences between using a continuous cold plunge like a chiller and using traditional ice. Let's jump in. Okay, let's talk about the first thing, which is gonna be in preparation. Obviously, when you have a cold plunge set up with a continuous chiller, your cold plunge is gonna be continuously cycling water, and that water is gonna stay at a set temperature. It's gonna be whatever you set it to be, or give or take a few degrees. And then on the other hand, when you use ice, you're gonna have to prepare. You're gonna have to make ice or buy ice. You're gonna have to open up your plunge and you're gonna have to put the ice into the barrel. There's that physical act of preparing your water. The second thing is gonna be the fluctuation of temperature. When you're using a continuous cold plunge in a chiller, you can set it at a temperature and you know what you're gonna get. It's always gonna be there. When you're using ice, the temperature can fluctuate. You might have to buy a little bit more ice depending on how hot it is outside. You might use a little bit less. You might not have to use any, but you don't really know what the temperature is gonna be unless you've really studied and you've got it dialed in. The third thing is the price. Obviously, when you're buying ice every day, and if you're gonna cold plunge in the morning and at night, multiple times per day, or making ice, it's gonna cost you a little bit of money in the preparation and in the making of the ice. There's also gonna be a little cost to using a chiller. Obviously, it's pulling energy, and it's constantly gonna be pulling energy to keep the pump running, to keep the chiller on. I haven't figured out the exact difference between which one is a better deal financially, but both of them are gonna have a cost that you're gonna have to weigh out. Now let's talk about the actual physical, biological, and neurological differences between using a continuous cold plunge and using ice. Now these are just my opinions, and this is what I've been able to find as far as my research goes, and I've asked a lot of people who cold plunge on a regular basis using both methods what they think. And here's the theory. The theory is when you're getting inside a continuous cold plunge and there's water constantly cycling, your body cannot create the thermo layer that it can when you're sitting in stagnant, still water. Let me paint a picture for you. You're at a house that has a pool. It's a little bit cold outside. You go and you feel the water, and the water feels really, really cold. But you're feeling froggy and you want to jump in, so you jump into that cold pool. You're in this cold pool, and at first, obviously, you have that shock factor, very similar to when you get into a cold plunge. But over a little bit of time, you kind of feel like you're warming up, and your body it's warming itself up. When your body warms itself up, it creates a tiny little thermo layer on top of your skin, which helps to protect your skin, helps protect your body from freezing. So it creates this little thermal layer. In theory, when you get inside a cold tub that has just ice and the water is just stagnant, your body can create a thermal layer and you're not getting the full effects of the cold plunge because your body has created a little bit of a hot layer. I don't know if that's actually true, and I don't know if that actually makes a big difference in your cold plunging, but that's a theory. And then when you get into a continuous cold plunge that's constantly cycling water and moving water around, it breaks up that thermal layer and your body doesn't have a chance to heat the water up around your skin. So in theory, you get a little bit more of a deeper cold in a continuous cold plunge. So I bought 80 pounds of ice and I put it in my Ice Barrel 300, and we're gonna see now, man, so much of that ice has already melted, which sucks. And it's only been like 5 minutes. However, the water is down to about 56 degrees. So it's probably more on the warm end for a cold plunge for me. I'm gonna test these both out and we're gonna figure out which one feels better as far as the experience goes. Because we know that the physical benefits and the neurological benefits of doing both are massive and they're amazing. And if you're watching this, you probably already know that. If you're watching this, you probably wanna know what is the real difference? Like, what is the difference between getting into a continuous cold plunge and getting into an ice bath? Is there really a difference? Stick around, let's find out. Before I get in, I do want to take a quick moment and thank my friends over at OrganiFi. No, this video is not even sponsored by them. I just found that when you find something that really works and you find something that's high quality and you find something that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, it's important to share it. So OrganiFi has become my green drink, my red drink, and my gold drink of choice. They have a ton of different powdered drinks and different supplements. They even have She Legit gummies, which are absolutely delicious coming out. Some of the best protein I've ever tried. I'm just telling you that I love OrganiFi's supplement line, and I think you should try them as well. Matter of fact, I reached out to them and asked, hey, can I have a discount code to share with my friends? So yes, there will be a link down in the description below to save you 20% off anything you want from OrganiFi. I highly recommend you check them out. Now, let's go get in these ice barrels. All right, so if you watch my channel at all, you know that I don't like to jump into any of my ice baths or cold plunges without rinsing off first. So I just jumped in the pool. That's why I'm wet. I haven't prematurely jumped into my cold plunge. Since this I know is set at 45 degrees, it's on a continuous cold plunge chiller, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my ice bath that's in my Ice Barrel 300 first. Oh yeah, now I know it's gonna overflow. I don't want my ice to leave. Stay with me. Stay with me, my friends. It's part of it. All right, we're down to 54 now, which is great. And I still got some ice in here, which is cool. So the cool thing about the insulated Ice Barrel 300 is that now that I have my water down under that 60 degrees, technically in cold plunge territory, all I'll have to do is get some maintenance ice to really keep the water cold. Because it's insulated and it has an insulated lid and I have it in this covered area, it should be able to hold a temperature for a pretty decent amount of time. I'm not sure exactly how long. People have been reporting back that it holds temperature for 2 to 3 days. Some people in colder climates say it holds temperature indefinitely. They're not having an issue at all. There's obviously gonna be a little difference based on where you live and based on the environment that you have your cold plunge. If you have it inside your house, if you have it inside a garage or inside of a gym that's temperature controlled, it's obviously gonna do a much better job keeping temperature. I will say the experience of getting into an ice bath is very stoic. It feels very comfortable. You don't have water rushing at your back. You don't have water rushing at you through a jet. So you're able to really just get comfortable. And other than the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you right now, you're able to get really, really comfortable and just be in the moment and meditate. One of the things a lot of people do when they cold plunge is they like to meditate. Some like to pray, depending on what it is you like to do. And some like to just sit there still and think about absolutely nothing and focus on their breath. There's a lot of different methods to your cold plunge. There's a lot of different methods to your ice bath. And I'm actually curious, if you're watching this, what is your method? When you spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is inside your ice bath, what is it you find yourself doing? Post that in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. That was really nice. Okay, so the experience was great. I would say that the experience of getting into an ice bath is really, really comfortable and it's really relaxing, I think is the best word to put it. It's just really relaxing. And now that I know I'm gonna go jump into my other Ice Barrel 400 that I have set up with a continuous chiller and a continuous cold plunge, I know it's cold and I know I have a jet that I've placed perfectly right on the back of my neck. So I'm not looking forward to that, but let's go jump into it anyway. So the biggest difference between the Ice Barrel 300 and 400, I might as well tell you, is you have to climb into both, but the 400 you really have to climb into. You gotta use the stairs, the steps. Oh yeah. You gotta use the steps, and it's a little bit more of an active position. I'm in like a squatted position right now, and I have my shoulders out of the water just because this jet is rushing on my back, and I wanna make sure you guys can hear me with the mic. You can get really comfortable in both. The Ice Barrel 300 for me, I'm 6'1", 210 pounds, is a little bit more of a cross-legged stance, and I can get all the way underwater, and there's a couple different ways you can position yourself to get fully underwater. But getting into that, it's a little bit easier, you don't need steps, but it's more like getting into a tub. Getting into this barrel is a whole different experience, and I absolutely love the experience of getting into the Ice Barrel 400. So using a chiller is nice. Obviously my water is at a set temperature, it stays cleaner longer, and that's great. But I will tell you the experience inside here is a lot different. I have water constantly rushing against my back. So it doesn't really allow me to get into a relaxed, comfortable, meditative state. This is more of a, I have to get this done and count down the clock kind of a style. Both are great, both are getting me cold, both are gonna have very similar health benefits, but both are totally different experiences. So now I'm gonna throw the lid on both of them because I wanna make sure that my water stays cold and clean. Actually, I just did a video the other day on how to full detail and clean your ice barrel like a pro. You wanna check that out at the end of this video. I'll have it linked at the end of this video. So now let's talk about it and let's decide what is a better setup for you. Is using traditional ice gonna be better? Is using a cold plunge with a chiller, continuous cold plunge with a chiller gonna be better? It really has a lot of factors. There's a lot of questions that you need to follow up and ask before you decide. Are you new to this and you want to make sure it's something you can find yourself doing? Then go the ice bath route. Go grab some ice, take a cold shower, jump in a cold lake. Right now it's starting to get cold around the world, so you can jump into a cold body of water and really experience the benefits of cold plunging without having to spend any money. Next, are you a little more advanced? You've been doing this for a little while, the cold showers aren't cutting it for you. Using an ice bath is getting a little expensive. That's what my decision was. That's what made me go the chiller route, is I was spending a lot of money on ice and it doesn't last long here in Florida. It melts really fast, so I was spending a ton of money on ice, and to me it made more sense financially for me to go invest into a chiller and make sure that I had a setup that I could get into in the morning, in the afternoon, at night before I go to bed, or whenever it was that I wanted to experience getting into my cold plunge. And then the last question, are you an advanced beast at this? Are you cold plunging all the time and you need really, really cold temperatures? If that's the case, do both. Have a chiller, have it set as cold as possible, and then every couple days go and grab some ice and throw it in there as well. It'll just heighten that experience and give you a really unique, cool experience where you have freezing cold water and you also have ice rolling around with you. I will say that having the ice in there with you does have a really cool effect mentally. You're able to really just get comfortable and really get dialed in on your meditations or your prayers or whatever it is that you want. For me, it felt really zen. It felt great. And I want to thank Wyatt from Ice Barrel for introducing me to that different mentality. You see, we learn from each other. Like watching a YouTube video, hanging out with people who are like-minded is so powerful because we are constantly learning from each other. We're constantly challenging each other. We're constantly pushing each other. So I do want to say this video is not sponsored by anybody. It's not sponsored by Ice Barrel. It's not sponsored by anybody. But I do want to say that if you want to get yourself an ice bath, whether it's with a chiller, a continuous cold plunge, or just use ice, I highly recommend you check out Ice Barrel. I will have a link down in the description below. I will also have my discount code. So make sure you check that out after this video. And then also after this video, if you want to learn how to clean your ice barrel like a pro, I will have that linked. I'll also have another link that'll show you exactly how to hook up a chiller to your Ice Barrel 400 like I've done too. So you can check that out after the video. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great day and God bless.